So today is the day we're going to start processing our loofah. We're going to turn these green loofahs into these nice sponges. We actually have a couple different ways we're going to do sponges. What we've found in the past is that our growing season just doesn't seem to be long enough to get our loofah to dry on the vine. So we end up having to process these while they're green. And we came up with a method last year, which we did a video on, where we could score these and peel these pretty easily. But we found a method that's a lot easier.
Yep.
We're going to show you how we do that. We're going to get started.
Yep. Last year was the first year that we grew loofah, and when it came time to peel them and process them, I was so afraid of damaging the sponge inside that I was being very gentle with it. But this year I've learned that the sponge inside can take a lot, so I found a really easy way to peel them. You just put it on the ground and you step on it. And you can hear it cracking. It squishes out a little bit. I might turn it. And then the peel just comes right off. Very easy, kind of like a navel orange. And don't worry about the dirt, we're going to wash it off anyways. And there you go. The next step is we want to get all this goo that's on the inside out. We're not so worried about the seeds because as it dries, we can shake the seeds out when it's dry. But we're going to try and rinse it and squeeze that goo out of it.
You're being pretty firm with that. I mean,
yeah, I'm squeezing it really hard. So
you could cut that in half if you wanted.
Yeah. Very easy. Actually, this one I may cut in half. I'll show you. It's very easy to cut in half. Just a regular bread knife. Cuts right down the middle. And the seeds are in there and all that goo is still in there. And we're just going to rinse it and squeeze it. And if you don't have a sink outside, you can just get a big bucket or a big bin and fill it with water. One of those big plastic bins. Works well. And once you feel you've got most of that solid stuff, gooey stuff out of there, you can start rinsing it and squeezing it and swish it around in the water a little bit. You don't want to wring it, but you can just keep squeezing it. And then you just sit it out in the sun. And sometimes I have to leave it out for a day or two, but they dry pretty quickly.
Okay, so we're going to have a contest. We're going to see who can peel their loofah the quickest. Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3, go. I'm done.
You won. I have some stubborn pieces on here. Here we go. He did. He won fair and square. This loofah I'm going to do a little bit differently, and in the end I want it to look something like this. This one I did last week, so it's all dried out. If you look inside, the loofah has 3 different chambers, and we're going to cut right along the top of one of those chambers, and then once it's flattened out, we're going to cut the seeds right out of it, and it will look like the dried piece right over there. So let me show you how. I've got some kitchen scissors right here, and if you see the line that kind of goes down here, I don't know if you can see that, I'm going to try and cut right along that line. Now that I've got it open, I'm going to cut again. I can either use a knife or my scissors. I'm going to use my scissors and cut all the way through without cutting into the bottom. spread it as I go. Okay, I've got it open like that, and I'm going to use my spoon. I'm going to start scraping some of this stuff out. It's all that goo that we squeezed out with the last ones, and we're just going to scrape some of it out right into our sink, and then we'll put it in our bucket. Scrape as much of that out as I can. And like I said, these things are pretty indestructible, so you can be a little harder on them than you think. All right, then I'm going to cut all that stuff that's sticking up. And there still may be some seeds in it. You can just pop them out at the end if there are. Don't worry about it.
Now, why do you do some of them this way?
Well, in the end, I'm going to fold them up to be more like a kitchen sponge that you buy at the grocery store. I'm going to fold them up, and then I'll stitch them around the edge, and it will be a little bit easier to handle if you're doing dishes. And again, I'm going to cut along the top so that I can kind of hold this up and make it easier to cut the middle part out. Just getting as close to the bottom as we can. If you're up a little bit, that's fine.
Now these seeds you wouldn't save?
No, these seeds are not viable. They're the seeds that you plant are black, and these ones are immature, so I don't think you'll get a sponge out of them. Some of ours that were starting to turn yellow did have black seeds in them, so I saved them, hoping that they will work for next year. But these ones would not work. All right, so I'm just going to scrape as much of that goo, and I'm only scraping on the inside, not the outside. There. And then we're going to rinse it. All right. And rinse and squeeze. We don't want to wring it, just squeeze it. Push that goo out of the end. And then again, just lay it out in the sun to dry. And after several hours, it'll be nice and dry like this one is. And now what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to fold it up and stitch the outside with some cotton yarn and a large needle that you can find at the craft store. And then you have a better kitchen sponge. But you just fold this up. You might have to trim the edges. This one's kind of big, so maybe I would cut this one in half and do 2 of them out of it. And then I just stitch around the edges, and in the long run you wind up with something that looks like that. While you're washing them, you don't have to really worry about getting all the seeds out. As you can see, these are dry and there's still seeds inside of it. And if you just bang it, it's much easier to get the seeds out that way. They'll all fall out once you do that.
So this is by far the easiest method we have found to process our green loofah. We seem to always have to process it green, like I said, because our season just doesn't seem long enough to get them to dry in the vine. But this has worked pretty well for us, so we're going to get to processing some more of these. If you liked today's video, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already, we certainly would appreciate you subscribing to our channel. But as always, here on Sunny Side Up Farm, until next time, we hope all your days are sunny side up.